Hello, it is Tuesday the 26th of February, end of day. We're heading into Asian trading on the 27th of February, and it's been a pretty ugly day, to be honest. It's been a pretty ugly day in crypto, in Bitcoin particularly, much more than some of the other altcoins, to be honest. And I think a lot of it, Arkham Research says a lot of it is ETF selling, which is pretty interesting. We had some other kind of bad news today, but the stock market is kind of holding up relatively well. You know, Trump tariffs are back on for Mexico and Canada for the 1st of April, floated for everything from the EU. There's a lot going on in this market, to be honest, that could go wrong. But for me, the focus today has been on these ETF outflows. Now, research by 10 times research shows that since Bitcoin ETFs were launched in January a year ago, they've accumulated about 39 billion in net inflows, and of that they say only 44% is tied to genuine long-term buying or investing, and apparently the other 56% appears to be linked to arbitrage strategies, particularly the carry trades. So that means that more than half of the ETF buying isn't buying for any kind of investment, but they're doing the opposite trade. So the trade that everyone has been doing has been to buy the ETF and to sell the Bitcoin futures, because Bitcoin futures always trades at a bit of a premium to the ETF price, and this is Bitcoin CME futures. And so it's an easy way for these big firms to make money on that without having any directional position in Bitcoin. They buy one and sell the other. So they buy Bitcoin ETFs, sell Bitcoin futures. And the problem is that once enough people do it, or that trade has been going for long enough, it kind of loses the returns. It doesn't make the same return. Once everybody's doing it, it doesn't work quite as well. And not only that, but if Bitcoin flips over into a downtrend, then the premium in Bitcoin CME futures disappears. For example, right now here in spot Bitcoin, let's go to the hourly here, spot Bitcoin, we are trading at 84,904, and here in Bitcoin futures we're trading at 84,785. So that premium where Bitcoin futures are trading higher than spot Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETFs has kind of evaporated, and so that carry trade doesn't work. So what do? They sell the Bitcoin ETFs, but they keep their shorts in Bitcoin futures, and I think that has contributed to a lot of the selling. So you will see, you'll see quite a lot on crypto Twitter about the inflows and the outflows in Bitcoin ETFs, and I think now that we can decide that that's quite possibly misleading. And we don't want to kind of, initially it was quite exciting, wasn't it? And we were like, yeah, Bitcoin up forever. But if it's all a sideways arbitrage strategy, then it's not got quite the same impact. So in Bitcoin and in MicroStrategy and in Bitcoin futures, we have bounced from the daily 200 moving average. If we look at Bitcoin from the high that we made on the day Trump was inaugurated on the 20th of January, this is an equal measured move at 81,515, and I think that level just got front run. I was watching to see if we would tag it, and we didn't quite. I'm not a big fan of the not quite, so I wouldn't be surprised if we retest these lows. Bitcoin loves to double bottom or do a swing failure retest of levels, but around 81,500, that 200-day moving average combined with this, if you have been shorting this might be quite a good place to consider taking some profit. First time we tag it, we might see a pretty decent bounce. In fact, so far on this front run, we're seeing a pretty decent bounce tonight. If we continue to the 50% retrace level of this entire swing from the low that we made on the 4th of August, we could squeeze a little bit lower. We could overshoot that 80,000. And this month end and this kind of week off isn't quite over One thing about, you know, all the deribit options that expire on Friday and options expiration, they expire at the UK Open on Friday. It's, you know, as I said before, the market makers who've kept it in this range all this time do have to chase it, and so it's adding to the volatility. It may be that we have to wait until this week is over and we see this kind of make a decent bottom that we can talk about being a proper bottom that we can buy against. As I say, always say the retest is the test. So just because it has a really strong bounce from a level first time, you can always wait for that retest or a higher low pullback or the pullback. There always is going to be a pullback. You don't actually have to catch the knife to catch a trade. In these moves, particularly, the trades that I'm looking at are what's outperforming or what's holding up really well. Before I go look at that, let's talk about this. Yesterday, when I looked at MicroStrategy, we were looking at this equal measure move where this swing was 61.8 of the first swing and this zone around this daily 200 moving average. You can see today is quite a bullish little inside bar today. This for me counts as a bullish reversal more than halfway up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some follow through bouncing tomorrow. And 244.98 was the level we were looking at. I thought we might overshoot down to this 200 moving average. So again, this is all adding up in the Bitcoin futures. Same thing, a bit of a decent place to bounce. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some back and fill bounce tomorrow. I'm not sure yet that this is the low, but I don't think I've seen sentiment this bag ever. One thing that's not at new lows, and this pretty interesting, is this ETH. If we take a look at where we are in ETH, you know, we're still in this sideways range, sideways around this August the 5th lows, you know, that Bitcoin, it's been underperforming Bitcoin for so long, but we're really still sideways in this trading range that we made at the beginning of the month, whereas Bitcoin is at new lows. And so I think that this may be a lot to do with the arbitrage strategy in Bitcoin unwinding. So again, this one, you know, for me, the one that outperformed in this sell-off may find a base and turn higher from here. I see some people, you know, tempting into ETH. I'm not quite there yet. The one that I looked at yesterday that I thought was really outperforming is BNB. So I did some BNB and I'll talk about that. But if we take a look at where we are in Ripple, let's look at regular candles on this. Here we are sideways in this one. You know, really, even if this is a bigger topping pattern in Ripple, we really haven't broken down. And again, really outperforming on the upside. Do I think it's quite a buy yet? No, I don't think it's quite good enough yet. Again, I like to see lower time frame moving averages. So I think, you know, we can see all the way really this week. We've been held down by these hourly moving averages. We still are. I still think that a retest of this 1.99, kind of 1.95 area in Ripple, where we've got so much previous highs and lows, may be in order. And only if we pop back above these would I think about a swing low. I don't count this as a measured move either yet in Ripple. So holding up really well, but not quite a buy yet for me. The one thing I did have a little go at today was Binance Coin. Let's take a look at Binance Coin and why. As I said in my previous video, we're at this big 236 support and resistance level, and so when everything else was getting killed today in Binance Coin, we held up and went sideways, no crashing out here. And again, when I count from the low at the beginning of the month, this looks to me like potentially 5 waves up. Either way, if it's not, and this is just a corrective move, this clearly is a 3-wave correction. If we can rally from here, if I look at it on lower time frames, we're setting up a pretty nice higher low. And so this is why I think that potentially BNB is should be on our watch list for a move potentially to outperform as we head into the end of the week. Certainly it's not getting beaten up the way Bitcoin is this week. Let's take a look at Litecoin, which is the other chart, which I think sorry, my voice I know is still I'm sure eventually it's going to get better. So Litecoin, remember this one? Now, let's take everything off. So I was looking at this yesterday. Didn't hold this. What a amazing bullish reversal day here in Litecoin. Now, if we zoom out big picture here on the weekly, I really like how we're holding above these weekly moving averages. And for me, the key to be going up higher is holding above this 236 fib level at 128.50. And I really do like this week how we have pulled back to these moving averages and found some support. So what's the pattern here? Well, if we look at it this way, remember when I was originally looking for a breakout here in Litecoin, and I saw this as a kind of big bull flag. And the reason is that this was a textbook equal measured move correction, pull back to the 200-day moving average, the weekly 200 moving average. This was textbook. So it's possible, as I said, that this actually was the correction complete. This was the low, and here's our wave 1, 5 waves up, and a 3-wave pullback, maybe a 50% 3-wave pullback here would be it, and we're on our way up again. And I think that's exactly what we've done. So I actually still really like BNB, and I still really like Litecoin. Now here's our 50% pullback level that held. Again, this is not financial advice. I like the chart and the trade setup. I'm not giving you advice on the benefits of Litecoin. Okay, so when you, from this low to high, when you pull back to 50%, quite often you can do that 50% thing. So you'll bounce 50% from this high to low, and then you maybe pull back 50%. So if we pause here overnight, or if we see a little bit of a pullback, a nice little 50% pullback, I think should be a nice little entry. Do you want to buy it here at the high after it's had this huge up day? Probably not. Now, if we go down to lower time frames though, we are in a little bit of a sideways cluster. We could argue that this is potentially a little bit of a little sideways flag correction going on here. So we may not get that 50% breakout. But again, if we break out from this, this is that 236 fib level that I said we need to get above and hold above. So if you were to buy it here, you literally would be buying it into that potential resistance. So it's almost at this point, let somebody else do the hard work. Let's see if it can break out, and then we'll buy pullbacks against it as support if it's not a false breakout. But again, Litecoin and BNB to me are of the bigger altcoins, I think are the best looking charts by a long shot. So what about, did anything else get beaten up today? Well, you know, most meme coins in Solana. So in Solana, that 150 level is still resistance. We haven't got back underneath it. After that getting really beaten up in Solana yesterday, we're still trading sideways. But if we take a look at where we are in some of these little smallers, you know, one of the ones that I like is BERT, and I really like BERT because I think it's outperforming. And this is a daily chart, and you can see while all other meme coins were going to hell, this little BERT was outperforming, going sideways. I think buying pullbacks in this is still worth it. I think PopCat, for me, let's find PopCat, is at a really interesting level. Can't find any more charts. Here we go. So, but if we look at PopCat, this one has not been getting killed the same way. For me, this kind of looks like we may be seeing a little bit of recovery. Whenever I see 5 waves up, 3 waves back, it always gets my attention. So I think at the very minimum, we should see another leg higher here, hopefully a bigger ABC here in PopCat. So this one is outperforming, and if that's all we do, and we just make a bigger ABC, then it's just a bounce and a downtrend, but it could turn into something more. I'm always interested when the market starts going up again at the ones that have been holding up really well, and PopCat is one of them. BERT is one of them. Frog is another one. Look at this one. This is, if we look at this on a daily, big daily bounce. Remember I talked about the fib levels and how you bounce between them, and if you get they're like a ladder. If you get back above the previous one, here we are holding up higher low. I really like to see this close above 0.09, and I think that we'll see at least a bigger ABC and a bigger move higher in this little frog one as well. So what about the bigger ones like Pepe or WIF and those? If we look WIF is starting to look like maybe a little bit of a double bottom here at a big fib level. Not quite kind of confirmed, is it? It was slightly a lower low, so perhaps not quite so compelling, but they're not all going to rally at once, and you really do need to be kind of buying pullbacks in the outperformers, I think, if you can, rather than catching knives at the lowest lows of the lows, if you know what I mean. Let's take a quick look at Pepe, because this one, remember we've been watching this one for a while because this was a big equal measured move level, big support and resistance level down here at 8,000 in Pepe, and we've done one of those swing failure pattern retests. So 79.45 actually, Pepe dollar was the level, and here on the daily, this was the level that we had that really sharp bounce from at the beginning of the month, and here we have retested it and we're holding the lows. So it's not a sure thing. This is not quite a bullish reversal yet. This really nasty down candle, really kind of 50% back of that, is going to be a little bit of a sticky level. But I think watching this on a lower time frame, this, you know, if we look down here on the hourly, we could argue this has made a very nice 5 waves up and a 3-wave correction. And at the very least, we should see if we can break this high, another swing higher here, and perhaps turn this into a bigger move higher for Pepe. Wouldn't be surprised at all. What about in the AI space? Most of these, okay, got really beaten up, but there is one that's not looking, these are starting to look like maybe this is another little bit of a bottom and a swing failure. This is AIXPT, one of the more, you know, whenever you see a double bottom swing failure pattern like this, if you break the high in the middle, then you should see more upside. People say to me, why am I even looking at the meme coins? They're all scams. Honestly, I'm not interested in some celebrity shit coin that's just launched 2 hours ago that's only going to live for 6 hours. But some of these that have been around for a while, and you can see this one's been around for a while. This is a daily chart, been all the way up, been properly shaken out. Then I do think that they are really decent trades, like little Bert, you know, 100% bounces. So you're not going to make, you know, 10 times on it, but if you do that, if you do those, find those little trades 10 times, then you will make the same money much more safely and not get scammed. So that's the only reason I'm looking at them. I think they can be quite fun little trades and yeah, less manipulated. So good luck. Watch out this week. I think it could still be bumpy. We've still got the big with Bitcoin and maybe ETH, because we still have the big Deribit options expiration. And remember, most of the volume, like 25% of the volume in the last couple of days has been in Solana. So it may be that Solana gets stuck and goes a little bit sideways into Friday. Let me know if there's anything you're looking at.